Hello everybody, this is a new video on not this, but it's in regards to this, so that's why I'm starting the video with this. This is a 2007 GMC Envoy Denali, not the XL version. I don't know if they made the Denali in an XL, but it's got the 5.3 V8. LH6, I believe, is the code for the engine. It's an all-aluminum 5.3 liter, making, I think it's a little over 300 horsepower, 308, 305, 315, 320. I don't think it's that high, but somewhere around there. But it's a decent motor. The only thing that's really bad about them is the active fuel management, also known as displacement on demand. It actually cuts out 4 of the cylinders to save fuel when you're on the highway, and it barely does that, and it becomes a problem after, you know, multiple miles. And what happens is it will activate the system and go into 4-cylinder mode, and one or more of the lifters will not return to its normal use and get jammed up, and then you have a dead cylinder. And there's a lot of these that get diagnosed wrong, and at least they did at the beginning, but now it's pretty well known what's going on with them. There's tons of articles about this. So the reason I'm giving you the story behind that is I bought this. I actually brought it in the shop. I was going to repair it for somebody, figured out the problem. During the time that it was in the shop, I ended up buying it off the person. They didn't want to put the money into it or go any farther with it or take any chances with it. So I freed up. It did have that problem. It had a bad cylinder. One of the lifters was stuck. I fixed that by freeing it up, and I've been driving it since, and it's been running good. I've made a couple of small modifications to it, but in the meantime, when I had it at the shop, the person found another motor with only 120,000. I think this one's got about 160, I think, on it, and it's the same year motor, same revision and everything, so it should be a direct bolt-in. But this didn't really need the motor. We were able to free that up, and you know, at this point you could replace the cam and lifters and go ahead with a traditional system and not have to worry about that. So what I'm decided to do is I bought the Envoy as well as the spare motor that they bought for it as a package deal, and I've been driving this as is with the old motor, no problems, all is good. But I did get the motor, which is right here, and it is complete with all the accessories. Some of them are less than usable, like this idler pulley. Water pump seems okay, but you probably replace that anyways. It looks like we got a good power steering pump. Got the differential unit connected to it, because the drive shaft for the front actually goes through the oil pan on these to conserve space. But as you can see right here, it says 5.3 liter, aluminum block, aluminum heads, 799, is it, or 9? Yeah, 799 is the casting number on the heads, which is a fairly desirable motor. It's a good platform. So my plan with this motor is I am going to tear it down completely, and that's what this video is about, and we're going to see what condition it's in. This is the same type of thing. It has the active fuel management. As far as I know, it has not been disabled. Well, that you'd disable it in the computer and you'd remove the internals, which obviously it seems the internals are here because the valley pan is still here. I don't think this has been opened up. I'm pretty sure this is pretty much an original 120,000 mile engine, but I don't know that for sure. So we're going to go ahead and tear this puppy down, and I'm going to make this a project motor, and I'm going to add a traditional cam and lifter in it. We're going to re-ring it, maybe hone the cylinders, put some new bearings in it, clean it all up really good. We're going to put a nice cam in it, and we'll see what happens from there. If I go with maybe an intake or some other, here's the intake for it here. I've already, that's came separately to pull the engine out of the car. You pull the intake manifold off, gives you a little bit more room. Got ourselves a spare alternator here as well. That's nice. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and tear into this, and this video will just be about what a 120,000 mile LH6 5.3 in a Envoy looks like after 120,000 miles. As far as I know, there was no issues with this motor. It was sold to the person as a good running motor with no issues. So Let's see the condition of the bearings and all that fun stuff, see if we can find any problems. So far, the only thing I've seen really is your traditional broken off manifold bolt in the back there. And here, looks like here as well. So it probably had a little bit of an exhaust leak here, I'd be willing to bet. But obviously we'll fix that when we get it apart. And we're going to make this a nice shiny new drop-in. And when that motor goes, or dies, or maybe I sell it as is running, if I get impatient, we'll see. It depends how long it takes me to get this motor up and running, but we'll be dropping this in with probably looking at maybe somewhere around the 400 horsepower. I don't want to go too crazy where I have to make my transmission you know, stronger just to handle the power. As it is now, you know, 380, 400 horsepower will be a safe number. Give us a little bit more power and reliability, and just have a really good, strong power plant for that truck. Because it is in good shape. It is the Denali with the black leather interior and all the fun goodies and whatnot. So that's it for this. Let's get tearing into it and see what we got. Alright, so that didn't take long. Got a pile of parts over there, some pile of parts over there. I think the parts that we took off this motor probably weighed about as much as the motor itself, being that it's all aluminum. So that's what we're down to. That's a dirty bare block. Well, bare long block. Or, I don't know what we call it. Full block, whatever. But we got the manifolds off. What we're going to do now is we're going to close off these ports so we don't get a lot of water in there. Also the exhaust ports. I'm going to close off this opening here rather than slide the harmonic balancer back on, and then we're pretty much sealed up. I'm going to leave the oil filter on, and we're going to spray it all down with a really good engine degreaser just to get that first layer of muck off of this thing before we start tearing into the internals. Because as you can see, it's just years of layers of nastiness on here. So it's not going to be perfectly sparkly clean yet, but we're going to get the majority of the layers off down to the point where we can take it apart and individually clean and treat each component of the engine as we need to make it look really good. So that's next up. right, there's our first cleaning. Got a layer off. Actually, not very impressed with how clean it came out. I was hoping it was going to come out a little bit better, but I didn't use a pressure washer. I just used a regular garden hose. Like I said, I just wanted to get the majority of all the loose stuff off so it's not falling into the engine. You know, this whole engine's going to be torn down and thoroughly cleaned regardless of how dirty and what debris gets inside. So it isn't that big of a deal. It's more just the convenience of being able to deal with the parts as I take them off, not having handfuls of grease. Which it looks like I'm probably still going to have anyways, but that's what we're down to now, and I think we're going to go ahead and we'll pull the valve covers, pull the valley pin where the solenoids are for the active fuel management that we're going to be eliminating. Take a look at the cam. We're going to start looking at all the components in here and see how much wear there is on this motor. All right, let's see what we're looking at. Do we got a clean motor, or do we got a full of gunk motor? Ooh, looking good. That's a nice sign. See how clean? We don't have a bunch of gunk in there, all piled up. Rockers look clean. Yeah, very clean. That's nice to see. That's what you want to see when you open up a motor. Not only is it less to clean, it means that it was probably taken care of pretty well. So I'll be willing to bet that all the bearings and everything in this motor are going to be good. Probably certainly didn't need a rebuild, but where we're going to go ahead and replace the cam and all that stuff when we got it out, might as well do it. Got some nastiness up in here. Not too bad up in the valve cover. But these are going to hit the parts washer. All right, more of the same. Looking good, looking good. Nice to see. A little bit of gunk up there. Actually going to keep 2 of those bolts in because I want to disconnect the sensor, and let's see if the screen is still in there. There's a little screen inside here that clogs up usually. These sensors go bad pretty often. Always nice to have some spares. See how clogged up that is? This will cause your oil pressure to read wrong, and also can cause havoc with the very same system, the displacement on demand. See all that black gunk? This is supposed to be a screen on the bottom. See all that stuff jammed up on it? Maybe you can see through there. It's supposed to be open on the bottom with just a little screen. So I actually think I got another one over here. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, here's a new one. See how it's got screen material on the top and on the bottom. And you can see all that black. It's all gooked up. Very common. You could take this out and clean it, get all that gunk and put it back in. And a lot of times that'll solve your oil pressure reading wrong on these. All right, let's get into the system. Under here we're going to have 4 solenoids for the displacement on demand setup. One more bolt back here. Okay, and that's what that system looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4 solenoids. 1, 2, 4, and 7, I believe it is, are the cylinders that this system deactivates. But just a minimal amount of carbon buildup in there, not bad at all. But this whole unit's going to get removed, and this is all going to get closed off because we're not going to use that system anymore. There's a couple little peep windows here. We should be able to take a peek at the cam. You can see it right there. It's got some markings on it, but literally no wear on there. Very, very minimal wear, it looks like. Very clean. This is a motor that I feel has definitely been kept up and was definitely a good motor. I see no signs of issues. All right, we're going to continue on here. Let's pull our timing cover off the front. See if our timing chain has got some excess looseness. It appears to me there is no other oil pan bolts, which means that this motor had probably been previously inspected or taken apart, the lower end. I did not know this. I don't know if the junkyard that bought it did that or what, but okay, all looking good there. Let's save our bolts. There's our oil pan. Got some sludge down there, nothing too crazy. No bits of metal, that's a good sign. That's going to hit the parts washer. And look at that, guys. See that O-ring? Broken. What that would have done is caused lower oil pressure, and this would suck up that O-ring's junk, and this would suck up air. It actually aerate the oil. So there's a possibility it might have been a little bit oil starved. We'll tell by looking at the bearings when we get to them. However, we'll continue on. Hopefully the crank's in good shape and we don't have to do any swapping on it. Oil pump. This oil pump is going to get replaced with a newer version, one that is not meant for the displacement on demand. So we won't be saving this, but just in case, I will hold on to it for the time being. You can get a sneak peek at the cylinder walls. Looking for signs of it being rebuilt. Any markings, oversized, anything. So far I'm seeing nothing out of the ordinary. Alright, so that's going to be it for the bottom end for now. We're going to flip it back over and pull the cylinder heads. Just take you can see these are popped in the cups. Here's the difference. It's got this added spring to allow this to go ahead and collapse and expand inside. And that's how I keep the head bolts in order. There's still 3 more on each side in the center of the heads that I got to add to it, but for now. Looking the same here. No noticeable issues on what I'm looking at so far anyways. A little bit of carbon in there. We'll pull out the remainder of those lifters, and then we're going to pull out the timing chain and the cam. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm not going to... actually, never mind. And there's our camshaft. Very little wear. So that's a stock GM cam right there. Alright, here's the last stage. I'm going to flip it back over. We're going to pull some of the crank bearings and some of the main bearings and see the condition of those, just to see what we're looking at. And then from that determination, we'll decide from there what's going to happen and what's going to get replaced and what isn't going to get replaced. And that's what we're looking at, is this bearing. Looking for nice smooth wear, no scores, and minimal of the copper color. Beautiful bearings. This literally looks like brand new. I may not even put new bearings in this, which is almost ridiculous to not do. But at this point, literally, I'm showing zero wear. For now, before I end up getting too much dirt and debris in here, I'm just going to kind of set these puppies back in place. Okay, this is the thrust bearing. It's going to have the side wear as well. Again, beautiful. Feel or see no wear at all. Very tight, very clean. I'll probably get some, forgot what it's called, but the little strips to check clearances. Because you could just have one bad bearing, one issue. She's in beautiful condition. That's interesting. There's actually some wiggle room here on that bearing. I don't like that. We might have spun that bearing. I don't like the fit on that, I can tell you that. Let's look at another one. Yeah, I almost feel like that bearing is spinning inside the cap. Yeah, again, it's like the bearing's a super loose fit in the cap. So the bearing could just spin. I think I might need some new connecting rods in this. Well, that one's cut at an angle too, so I guess that is normal for the connecting rods. Yeah, every single one of these bearings is not lined up like it's supposed to be, but they look decent. Alright, well, that's pretty much it. Gonna do some measurements. We're gonna get some new connecting rod bearings, check clearances for all that. We're gonna skip the main bearings, I can tell you that right now. And cam lifters, oil pump, all new gaskets and seals, and maybe go through the cylinder heads, have those done at the machine shop. And we should have a nice reliable motor here. All right, and that concludes my teardown. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this in an airtight plastic bag, and she'll sit over in the corner until I decide what's next and start getting some work done, getting the cylinder heads done, and all that fun stuff. Hope that was an entertaining teardown. Start to finish, it ended up about 2 hours of work.